One, and now I want to ask you a question. What is your favorite open world game? Now, I feel like many might say one of the Fallout games, or maybe even one of the Elder Scrolls games. Maybe maybe you will say GTA or Red Dead Redemption. All of them are fantastic games and franchises. However, I feel like one game that nobody would ever say or even think of when it comes to open world is a little game called We Happy Few. Now, I've made a few videos in the past about We Happy Few, talk about why I love this game and certain things about this game. However, today I honestly want to talk about We Happy Few as a whole and talk about the entire game. A game that I feel like is extremely underrated and is never talked about for, honestly, in my opinion, no reason. I honestly think that We Happy Few is one of the best games ever made, with one of the best stories ever made, not only for a video game, but one of the best stories of all time. It's all about heartbreak, remembering tragic events, coming to terms with what happened, and trying to move on. Also, the small side stories that happen throughout the world of Wellington Wells that makes this game feel so real. So, pop a joy and come with me while I talk about We Happy Few, which, in my opinion, is the biggest underrated masterpiece ever made. So I want to start this video off by saying that this game is beautiful and honestly one of the best games I have ever seen. Now I know many people will immediately say the game looks bad because it doesn't have realistic graphics and looks more cartoony, but honestly I think this is better. The artwork in this game really allows you to see just how run down and destroyed Wellington Wells is and just how bad people's lives are, but it can also show what the effects of joy can do to people by making everything look pretty and calm and peaceful without actually seeing what the real world looks like. Also, the game can have some sci-fi or maybe even some steampunk technology that really blends into the environment and it doesn't look weird or stick out too much. The weapons also look really good with this art style where while they might look cartoony a little bit, you can feel every hit and the weight of each hit and each weapon. Sadly, I honestly believe too many people turned away from this game simply just because of the graphics not being photorealistic like many other games. And since I mentioned them, let's go ahead and talk about the weapons, which I feel like are great to use. Whether you are using a lead pipe, a cricket bat, a shovel, or even a bayonet, they all feel extremely fun to use. Each time you swing, you will be using stamina, and heavier weapons will use more stamina than light weapons. However, you don't have too much stamina, so you have to be careful and kind of plan your attacks a little. You can't just swing at them forever because you will leave yourself open and you will get tired. However, you have the ability to shove your opponent, which will lower their guard and also make them fall to the ground, which will allow you to get some extra hits and before they can get up. But shoving uses a lot of stamina, so you have to actually really be careful about shoving people. You can also throw grenades or bangers at your enemies, which will kill them, and you even have some non-lethal options as well. There are some weapons and items that will knock someone out. However, if you sneak up behind someone, you can take them out with a takedown. However, you can only do this at Arthur and Ollie. Meanwhile, when you play as Sally, you need knockout syringes, or you can use the pituitary extractor because she isn't tall enough or strong enough to choke someone out. And it also shows how smart Sally is and her using her brain and her using tools to help her. Also, whenever you crouch and start sneaking, you can see each character's footsteps and you get some perks. You can get some perks to see their footsteps from farther away, which will help you stay undetected if you want to sneak around. Now, a big part of We Happy Few is blending into your environment. And what I mean by this is your actions and the clothes you wear. So people won't become upset with you if you don't break into their home, steal from them, punch them in the face, like normal basic stuff. However, it's kind of a little bit more than that. When you're in the Garden District, you need to be wearing a torn suit or people will become upset because if you're wearing a proper suit, it reminds them of the people that kicked them out of the village. And when you're in the village, you need to wear a proper suit or people will mistake you for a wastrel and a downer. And if you're naked, then no matter what, people will be upset with you because no one likes people running around naked. However, it's not just what you wear, but also how you act, because if you start running or jumping or crouching or staring at people, people will be annoyed with you, and so you will have to walk everywhere and kind of act like everybody else. However, there is a perk you can take that will make people ignore your annoying habits, which is extremely helpful, especially when you're moving around the village. Also, being outside at night will cause the Barbies to be upset with you because there is a curfew in the village and in the Gardeners District. The people have plague, with basically they become the weepers from Dishonored, and the head boys are walking around the street and they will attack you on sight. Now, these aren't big in the game and don't really affect it that much, other than the curfew, which when you're out at night, everybody's basically gonna become hostile towards you. But otherwise, blending in doesn't, wearing the clothes or acting how they do, it doesn't really affect much. However, it is a nice feature that really helps immerse you into the world of We Happy Few. Now, We Happy Few has honestly a very dark tone throughout the entire game. I mentioned this before, that this game is all about dealing with flaws, dealing with heartbreak, remembering, and confronting the past. There are many moments in this game that are very dark and sad, like when you are playing as Sally and you get to experience the flashback of Sally's mother killing both herself and Sally's siblings and her father, so they aren't shipped to Germany, and also so Sally's father can't hate her mother for killing the kid.
Well, young Miss Boyle, you know there's a curfew. You don't want some Fritz to shoot you dead, do you?
Sorry, sir.
Let's get you home. You had another fight with your mum, didn't you? Why don't I put in a good word? Mrs. Boyle, I've got a young lady out here who, I'm sorry. They don't seem to be at home.
What? Let me go in.
They're not at home. Let me take you to the station for a cup of tea.
What happened? Let me in.
Best you don't go in, miss. Cup of tea's best.
What did she do? What did she do? What did she do?
Mrs. Boyle? I've got a young lady out here who, they don't seem to be at home.
And Mum said, you don't have to worry about the train. No one's going on the train.
Or you will sometimes see people who hang themselves because they couldn't stand remembering what happened. Like in the first house you walk into when you start the game and you're playing as Arthur. It shows this dark tone immediately. However, We Happy Few also likes to joke around a lot and be very silly, and this is shown a lot of times throughout the dialogue, but also with some side quests. Like, how about an entire side quest where you have to find a rock star who ends up killing himself, and then you have to disguise yourself as him, so that way you can get access to a church all about the game Simon Says, and pretend to be him in order to win a medal. Or an entire scene of the game where you ride a jubilator with music playing in the background, or an entire song that the Barbies made to thank Sally Boyle after you finish making the Blackberry Joy during her playthrough.
The lads have prepared a little merriment to show our gratitude.
Miss Boyle makes the world go round. 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 O-M-H-A-P-P-Y to the F-R-double-E. F-R-E-E to the S-A-V-E-D. S-A-V-E-D from the bonds of S-I-N. Glory, glory, hallelujah, hip hooray, amen, sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. For the sixpence on a drum, save another drunken bum, sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah. For the sixpence on the drum and you'll be saved.
That was wonderful. Thank you.
There, lads! That should hold you for a bit, right? And Miss Boyle will be sure to synthesise a blackberry on time next time, so we don't have all this awkwardness. After all, with all you lads are going through, who knows how long this batch will last? Not as long as the last one, I'll wager.
Or an entire side quest where you have to basically go undercover, but basically get undercover spy missions for a crazy man in a treehouse in the Garden District, and then you come back as Sally and you take the doll back that you took as Arthur from like a house, and it's just Ollie especially has some funny moments, and it makes me just love his character.
Will you shut it? I'm trying not to blow myself up. Hey, look up your ball bags, I'll piss in your corpses.
We're coming for you, you greedy bastard!
Go eat a banger, you leaky scanner! You're done hoarding all the V-meat!
Now, I can see people saying that this ruins the tone of the game because while there are many dark moments, there are a lot of funny and silly moments as well, but that's, in my opinion, it's honestly the point of the game. The story and flashbacks about what happened and how people are trying to move on and forget is sad and very dark, but you also get to see people just being silly and like just making jokes, and it's nice to have moments of laughter, especially in a game like this where a lot of the story quests and even side quests are very dark and very sad. And also, I think it perfectly shows what the effect of joy does to people, like throughout the game. Now, there are many characters in We Happy Few, like, you know, you have your normal citizens and Barbies who walk around the area whenever, like, wherever you are, whether you be in a garden district, the village, or the parade. But you also have characters like Dr. Faraday, who's basically like a mad scientist who's trying to make a portal so that she can get out of Wellington Wells. You also have Miss Bing, who is Arthur's boss and the daughter of General Bing. You also have Uncle Jack, who is an actor who appears on TV and radios, who is highly loved in Wellington Wells. And Compulsion Games actually used him to advertise the game in real life, which is actually really cool. He's actually a like real person that they use to advertise the game, and I love it. You have the three main characters, Arthur, Sally, and Ollie. I love every character in this game, and they all have such great personalities, and it's always fun interacting with them. And there's also some funny dialogue in this game. Honestly, I can't really talk about them without talking about the main story, which I honestly believe is one of the best stories of all time. I really do love the story of We Happy Few. Now, We Happy Few starts with you as Arthur Hastings working at a newspaper company where your job is to look over news articles and you censor anything that is sad or bad and will make people upset or depressed. Everything is going business as usual until Arthur sees a news article about him and his brother Percy winning a contest, and this makes Arthur snap and start freaking out, remembering his brother, and so he starts hearing train whistles. Arthur then takes out two pills of joy, and we as the player get to choose whether he remembers or he takes the joy and forgets. Now, joy is a drug that was made after World War II, and in this game, however, Germany won in We Happy Few against Great Britain, and it was made because the deal was that the Germans would leave Great Britain and the British alone if they gave them all their children so that they could most likely use them as soldiers against the Soviet Union, who the Germans were still fighting. Now, there were some protests and some people were hanged, but the people of Wellington Wells decided to comply and put their kids on the train and be sent to Germany. Percy was one of these kids sent to Germany. Meanwhile, they got Arthur's birthday wrong on his ID, so he was too old and he wasn't allowed to go on the train with his brother Percy to Germany. This is why Arthur starts freaking out once he sees the picture of him and Percy. So we, the player, gets to decide if you if Arthur takes the joy or if Arthur remembers what happens. Now, if you decide to take the joy, Arthur then, he takes the joy and continues working like normal and the game ends. Like, it literally roll credits. However, if you choose to remember, then Arthur throws his joy away and starts remembering everything that happened. Hours go by and your boss, Mrs. Bing, comes checking up on you. She sees Joy on the ground and asks if Arthur is off his joy, which Arthur responds,
"Oh, snug as a bug on a drug."
Mrs. Bing then reminds Arthur about a birthday party that they are having for one of his co-workers and that there will be a piñata. Then you can start moving, and honestly, I want to talk about why I love this opening so much. I made a video a long time ago talking about this intro, but I feel like I didn't do that great of a job in that video explaining why this intro is so great to introduce you to this world. So, after your boss, Mrs. Bing, leaves you, you can either continue approving or censoring newspaper until you run out. It honestly doesn't do anything, but once you leave your office, Arthur will say,
"Do you think the canister wonders what life's like outside the tube? Of course he'd have to break the tube to get out. That would break it for everybody."
And the first office you will find is your co-workers, who he doesn't like you at all, and is even trying to get you arrested and kicked out by saying you are a downer. However, there's a letter by Mrs. Bing telling him that he will never have Arthur's office, and you can even decide to screw up your co-worker's work, and you can even get an achievement for doing this. But just like in Arthur's office, this ultimately means nothing like throughout the game. It's just a nice bit of revenge on Arthur's part. You then come across Prudence's office, who is on holiday, and no one knows where she is or when she will be back. When you enter her office, you see a welcome back banner, but then it spells out come back, and everything starts looking scary and unsettling until it snaps back to normal. Then you come across another one of your coworkers who is talking to one of the doctors who can smell if you have taken your joy or not, and you see the doctor approaching him until he jabs him with a needle. The doctor then quickly draws the curtain so we cannot see inside anymore. We now have 2 moments now where it's clear things aren't how they should be, and then we enter the offices where we see every desk is empty. Now, it could be because of the birthday party that Mrs. Bing told you about. However, once you get to the party, there are very few people compared to the number of desks, so it's clear that you are very understaffed at Arthur's work. We go to the party, we hit the piñata that Mrs. Bing told us about, and then
You are off your joy. Take one of mine. Oh my lord. He's a downer. Call security. We've got a downer.
It turns out to be a rat, and at this point the joy has completely worn off and Arthur refuses to take any more now and he has officially become a downer. Arthur is chased out of the parade all the way to the Garden District when the Bobbies smell gas and they let Arthur live. However, it doesn't end there because you have to fight someone who turned insane in the shelter, but once you exit and see the state of the Garden District and just how destroyed the houses are, you can see a plane crash into the ground and Arthur promises,
"I am coming for you, Percy. I haven't got it all figured out, but I will find you."
Just such a fantastic intro. Now, I could go through all 3 of the main stories in this game, and I will. However, it would take forever to talk about every single bit of the story, so I will summarize it as best as I can, even though I still think it's still going to be long because these stories are all fantastic. So now, easily Arthur's story is my favorite out of the 3, with his being all about needing to find Percy. Everything he does in this game, he does so that way he can find Percy and keep his promise he made to him as a kid. Now, throughout his journey, Arthur will come across Bobbies and normal townsfolk, some he can decide to help, and will also provide some really fun side quests. Arthur will help a veteran of World War II to retrieve his medals back in exchange for a power cell, and then he goes to the train station to meet his old neighbor, Ollie.
Bloody hell. That's Ollie! Ollie!
Come for me, have you?
Ollie! I'm Arthur!
You won't get me! You won't get me, you bastards!
Ollie! No! It's Arthur!
Bloody murdering wastrels!
You gone mental!
I'll save you, Margaret!
I'm your old neighbour, Artie!
Always lying!
Little Artie!
Artie's gone! They took him away!
Ollie, no! They
You're
didn't!
lying! You're a wastrel!
Ollie, it's Arthur!
Well, why didn't you see that before?
After meeting Ollie, Arthur has to sneak into the military base in order to help Ollie with something, and that's when
Papier-mâché. We took all the kids to the train station. We sent them off to Germany because of papier-mâché.
the tanks are made of paper, and it's revealed that the people of Wellington Wells could have stood up against the Germans rather than giving away the kids. Afterwards, Arthur would then return to Ollie to confront him about this, and then we find out that Arthur lied about his age so he wouldn't have to go to Germany. Afterwards, you head to the village, and I love this entire section, but you basically have to rehabilitate yourself into a normal citizen rather than a wastrel, and it's just so silly and ridiculous, and I love it. After you enter the village, you will come across Arthur's old best friend, Sally Boyle.
You know what? Never mind. Next week? Arthur? Arthur Hastings!
Lovely day for it.
Don't you lovely day for it me, you idiot. It's me! Sally! Oh, I knew it was you. I mean, the glasses, the hair, the really adorable jacket. Don't ask me how. You're not that awkward little boy anymore, are you? But the way you walk, it's like the mask isn't even there. I just knew. There's Arthur.
Sally? You look fantastic.
This ancient thing. I've had it 2 weeks. I'm out of my mind with boredom.
Green and white checked. Your dress, the last time I saw you. Running out the door.
Oh, that horrible gingham dress. Oh, God, that takes you back. You're off your joy.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
Oh, you have little fucking faith. I'm not going to turn you in. Whatever possessed you to go off your joy?
Percy.
Oh, God.
I saw a picture of him. I promised I'd look after him in Germany. I have to go and find him.
How are you going to get out? Do you even have a letter of transit?
Absolutely. On my desk, in the city.
Good Christ. Just tell the policeman that. I'm sure they'll wave you right on through.
Yeah, haven't figured that bit out yet.
I'm very close with General Bing.
Of course you are.
No.
You always did have a knack for making helpful new friends.
I mean, I could go see him and ask him to give you a letter of transit.
Don't put the General out on my account. I'm sure you've only so many favours you can ask of him.
My God. You still hate me, don't you?
Yeah, well, I've only been wondering for the past 14 years.
We were 16!
How could you?
Because I liked him? Because he had that adorable beard? I don't know, there isn't a reason for everything. You're the last bloody person who should be off his joy.
I can't believe you are.
Believe me. Take enough stuff. Look. Some downer broke into my lab last week, literally tore the bars off the windows, and the ridiculous thing is I forgot to lock the front door. Point is, it's a horrible, terrible world out there. I just don't see you smashing your way into the city without a great deal of help.
Oh no, not me.
I'm living on the King's Road right now.
Of course you are.
I couldn't exactly have stayed there, could I? Like nothing happened.
Look, I'm sorry. This isn't what I meant to... Maybe we could help each other. Maybe I could come by when I'm feeling... better? Brilliant.
Now, it's clear from that clip that Arthur doesn't really like Sally that much, and there's clearly something that happened in the past between them. But afterwards, Arthur decides that in order to cross to St. George in order to make it up to Sally and give letter of transit, he helps Dr. Faraday, who is kind of a mad scientist, like I said before, who is trying to make a portal, and with Arthur's help, actually succeeds. Arthur then, after crossing the bridge, goes to Sally's apartment to make it up to her, and Sally asks for help with something, and she even ends up kissing Arthur. Being all shooked up about it, Arthur leaves and gets the oil that Sally needs. In order to get that, Arthur has to sneak in to Dr. Verloc's lab. As we work our way in, and also even once we get inside, we keep hearing something called a permanent solution that Dr. Verloc has planned. When we finally reach his office, we find out what he means by a permanent solution.
Sergeant! Sergeant!
Did you know half your workers are unconscious?
The fumes issue will resolve itself. Look, I'm very busy recalculating the brominating reaction so it is non-explosive. Unless you've got a magic formula for synthesizing joy out of bleach, whiskey and saltpeter, get out!
You're planning to lobotomize the people of Wellington Wells, aren't you?
Lobotomize is a rather inflammatory metaphor, but yes, I have been asked to synthesize something stronger and more permanent than joy. Who are you?
If you force people to have the emotions you want, then you've turned them into robots made out of meat!
And what do you think you are now? You are just the sum of the neuropeptides swirling in your bloodstream. You see, the current Downer outbreak is just a mass chemical imbalance. But I believe I can adjust the internal hormonal settings so the people stay happy no matter what.
You can't do that.
They told the Wright brothers they couldn't fly, but they did.
You can't do that.
Oh, my lord. You're that Downer they've been warning us about.
I'm actually just here for a bottle of cod liver oil.
What makes you think I'll give it to you?
This bottle of your new formula. If I smash it and you breathe the fumes, will it make you happy forever and always?
You mustn't. It makes the patient insane. Ha! Now you can't move until I take my hand off this button. Oh, shit.
After that, we now have the cod liver oil Sally wanted, and then we go back to her house, and when he comes back...
Have my bloody letter of transit.
So? Sally? Salamander?
If she's not here, I swear to God I'll kill her.
Hi.
I got it. Your precious cod liver oil.
Oh, you're a lifesaver.
It's a bloody souvenir.
God, it's awful.
Have you got my letter of transit then?
Arthur, we're practically the only two people in this entire city not stoned out of our minds on joy. How are you holding up?
What do you care?
How are you going to get out?
Why won't you just give me the fucking letter of transit? Oh, it's always what you want. Always what you need. Every little Sally whim. Bloody cod liver oil.
Do you really think I'm that awful?
What, just because you fucked my dad while you were living in our house, in my mum's bed?
I'm sorry.
Look, I don't hate you. In the strangest way, you're completely innocent. You're practically the only one I know who is.
It's on the dresser there.
Are you going to be okay? I could take you with me.
Really?
We have to go now. The joy's gone bad. It's going crazy out
I
there.
can't go right now.
Why? Oh, God. No.
It's not simple.
It never is.
We'll have to wait till dawn.
No, that's crazy. I can't. Oh, you shouldn't have asked for that ridiculous cod liver oil.
Look, there's something I haven't been entirely straight with you about.
It's just self-preservation, Sally. No hard feelings.
Now we find out why Arthur hates Sally. He hates Sally because after Percy and the rest of the kids went away on the train, Sally had sex with Arthur's father. After this reveal, Arthur cuts off all his ties to Sally, and now that he has a letter of transit, he goes to the parade, and Arthur is finally able to get out and leave Wellington Wells. However, he has one more choice. He finds out that the Bobby at the Britannia Bridge is the same one that refused to let him get on the train all those years ago, and he gives Arthur the chance of taking his joy and forgetting one last time, or remembering everything and leaving to look for Percy. You can choose, but if you say no to joy, then Arthur leaves and he goes find Percy, and that is the end of Arthur's story.
Just how heinous a person I am.
Well, the truth is not for everyone, sir. You see, Some people find they are stronger than they ever supposed. Some people can let go of the confabulations that have comforted them. Some make choices that surprise even themselves.
The booze ran out! You have to stop taking your joy! Stop.
But perhaps these people are not you. Are you sure you don't wish to forget? And go back?
I was happy before, wasn't I? Are you really a constable?
I patrol the boundaries. Come on, sir. Once you're out there, you'll know what to do.
The story is easily my favorite, simply just because of everything that happens to it. Whether like from the very beginning to the very end, is his journey going after Percy. It's just so fantastic, and I love it. However, I haven't talked about Arthur's playstyle yet in this game, which I will do the same with both Sally and Ollie, where after I talk about the story, I will talk about, how they play, how they feel and all that. So Arthur is basically very much the average character in this game. He isn't super strong. He can still use heavy weapons. He takes normal amounts of damage when he gets hit, but he also does normal amounts of damage to opponents. However, you can get perks to help in combat, but still, Arthur is very much still the kind of average normal character. However, as Arthur, anytime you sit down in a chair or a bench, you can hide in plain sight because Arthur will start reading the news. As long as you aren't being chased and spotted, sitting down, it works every time, just sitting down and reading the newspaper. And honestly, out of the three main characters in this game, I think Arthur is probably the easiest to play as, because both Sally and Ollie, you do kind of have to change the play style and how you play them and play the game, especially with Ollie, which it is annoying and frustrating with all these. Sally's, but you do have to change it a little bit. You got to be more stealth-like, and I will go into that more when I talk about Sally. And when it comes to Sally, I absolutely love it. I love it when it comes to Sally because you have to kind of work it differently than with Arthur. But I will be talking about that later, along with Ollie's in part 2. This video became a lot longer than I expected, but I think that honestly just shows not only how much I love this game, but just how great it is. Or it means absolutely nothing. Either way, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in part 2 of We Happy Few, an underrated masterpiece, which in my opinion, it is.
Well, I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time. Tune in tomorrow for another Etiquette Minute with Jack Worthing. That's me.